Hi, y'all. Welcome, Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us as we rock and roll and everything getting back to normal at the first of the year. And it is Monday, best day of the work week. Now I get to have my best day of the work week. Brandon didn't miss Monday last time, so actually you did. You had to work.
Yep, I was
It was really a great Monday last week. I had to work.
There's a little less exciting around the building. Let's just say that.
Yeah, let's leave it at that. All right, folks, a lot of stuff to cover. Clemson, Alabama. Who you got? All right, come on, you may as well tell me. I didn't say who you're pulling for, because I know you're pulling for Clemson.
I'm pulling for Clemson, but who I got, you'd be a fool to pick against Alabama.
But, you know,
I'll say that, but Clemson's a great matchup.
Let me ask you a question. Do you say that because you don't want to say, see, I told you they'd beat them, or you saying that just get that? That's what I think people do. They really, if they don't like Alabama, they're pulling hard for Clemson, but they want to say, I don't know, it's going to be a heck of a ball game. Clemson has a great shot to win the ball game. I ain't bought all the hype yet on Clemson, but if they win tonight, I will. And you know yourself, the best team doesn't always win.
Yes.
That's just facts. I mean, remember the New England Patriots years ago, undefeated. I never forget.
Lost to the Giants. It was a great matchup.
Brandon, I never forget. Do you remember, and this, you wouldn't be too young for this.
Okay.
NCAA basketball tournament, Georgetown and Villanova.
Oh, yeah.
Georgetown,
I was 2 years old when that game happened.
Georgetown was so much better than Villanova. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even supposed to be a game, and Villanova upset them. So what I'm saying is these games are made for that. I don't know if Alabama's a 7-point favorite. I think it's going to be a heck of a game to watch and a lot of fun. I think Alabama's got the best team. I don't think there's any doubt. But it doesn't mean they win.
Yeah.
Best teams don't always win that night. You got to win the night that you play for the championship. Mm-hmm. If they get beat, Clemson becomes a national champion. People, you can't help but to like the coach. He is
Dabo Swinney? Yeah.
He's a pumped-up guy. He's very well-liked. He's very enthusiastic. Well, Saban, on the other hand, is just business. Mm-hmm. And I think I read the other day this was yesterday or the day before, and they said the problem with Saban is not that he can't handle winning because he wins. The problem is he doesn't handle losing. Yeah. And losing sticks with him way more than the championship, because they asked him a question. They said, you remember about all the championships? He said, I really don't. I remember the ones we lost. And they're going, wow, that's a totally different attitude than most people.
I'm just looking to see that midway point between the midway point of the second quarter to the midway point of the third quarter, if Alabama's able to pour it on in that area. And if they don't, then you're going to have yourself a great finish.
I say pour it on. The only way that Alabama wins the game going away, or maybe even wins the game, is that Watson turns it over 4 or 5 times. He's very capable.
He is,
now,
especially with this defense.
He's also capable of throwing for 500 yards and beating the hell out of you. I mean, he's really that good. As fate would have it, I'll be at an 8th grade basketball game in the first half.
Man. But look, 12 touchdowns this Alabama defense has on the year. That's no fluke, and that's amazing. They have got to keep Alabama's defense off the scoreboard.
Well, look, there's a lot of that. I have not been able to watch a lot of the hype. I saw very little hype because I don't have to have it. I want to watch the ball game. And same like Super Bowl. I will not watch. When they get to the 2 weeks before the Super Bowl, that's when I will not. Anytime I put it on ESPN and they go to the Super Bowl, I'm off, because they make every turn, every twist. They almost ruin it. And it's been like that with this. They've almost – good thing we didn't have it a week, because they almost ruin it with all these opinions and breakdowns. None of that means anything to Clemson and Alabama. Well, it really doesn't mean anything what they're saying on TV. People buying all the hype.
Well, the 2 weeks leading up to the Saints Super Bowl victory against the Colts, the announcers were pretty much laughing at the Saints, and it was just I had to shut it off, because I wasn't going to let them spoil my Saints being in the Super Bowl for the first time, and so far the only time ever. But Moon, we always want to talk about the skill position players and all. This thing comes down to the trenches, Moon. You look, if you look at Alabama's defense, all right, they can generate all that pressure. They got 60 sacks on the year. They generate all that pressure with just their front four, all right? If Alabama's offensive line can keep that in check, then all of a sudden they got to start bringing people on the blitz more. That's, Alabama loves to put the pressure.
Clemson keeping it in check.
No, that's what I'm saying. Clemson's offensive line keeping them in check. And then you look at the other side, and you look at the fact that Clemson's got this man-child in the middle, the freshman at the defensive tackle. If his other tackle can help generate some pressure, that keeps Alabama from the double teams on him. It all comes down to the trenches.
The problem, the Clemson's defense, everybody's bragging about it now. They gave up a lot of points. They gave up a lot of points in some big games.
But they got to the quarterback a lot too, Moon. They had 59 sacks on the season compared to 60 for Alabama.
Oh, no, I agree with that. But what I'm telling you is they gave up some massive points. Now, Alabama had a few games they did that too. Ole Miss, Arkansas. They had some games they gave up some points.
Yeah, but they were killing Arkansas, and then that was just garbage points in the end.
Ole Miss was back and forth.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It ought to be fun anyway. I hope to watch at least about a second. I'll have my cell phone in the stands.
I guarantee if those games had been lower scoring like the LSU game, Alabama's defense would have stepped up and not allowed so much.
And I'm not a gambler, but they tie all this to gambling. They said you can bet over under 51 points is what they're saying the game's going to have. Remember last year was 85 points.
Oh yeah.
51 points below. Mm-hmm. I think will favor Alabama. We'll see.
Last year was fun to watch except for the outcome. It was fun though.
Well, it depends. If you're a big Alabama fan like Kathy Fuqua in New Iberia, I mean, she's gonna
that's
me.
Kathy's
She's
problem.
gonna kill me for saying that. She cannot stand Saban, and she is a Tiger diehard. So I better get off of that real quick so I'll have a life. She's good friends with my wife. I'm not calling her my friend, but she's good friend with my wife. It ought to be fun. All right, tonight. Here's the last question on that. When's the real kickoff? We know the game comes on at 7. Are they kicking off at 7? Can you pull something to say when the kickoff is?
If kickoff is listed at 7, then that means they'll get started about 7:10, 7:15.
All right, because I didn't know if I was hoping it started about 7:30, but anyway, it's an interesting game to watch, and I can't wait. I love to watch it, but I didn't watch all the hype because I don't care about it all. I just want to watch the game. All right, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. I know we're not talking about the national championship game anymore. We just thought I'd throw that out at Brandon. We actually here this whole week together, folks, if you like to know. Maybe first week in a while.
Yeah, I know, huh?
All your vacations. I didn't really take one, did I?
Oh, yeah, you never left. Not at all.
I didn't think so. All righty. A lot going on. Oh, by the way, one funny thing. Stephanie Grace, who's a liberal leftist nut, Mary Landrieu Sycophant, who writes for the Morning Advocate in New Orleans, Baton Rouge, had a headlines about man-made global warming. And she says even after 8 years under administration, it made curtailing climate change and the sea level rise has produced a top priority. Did they really? What did they do? What changed? Okay. She says, strikingly, the planned worst-case scenario 5 years ago, human-caused sea level rise of 1.48 feet by 2065, Brandon. How many of y'all going to be around by 2065? I'm predicting I won't be here. 2065. You make a prediction based on something where nobody's going to be here. I mean, they can't get the weather right. And when I see this, I kind of fall out laughing at this. And then I'm thinking if the human-caused sea level, you think we got too much happening on the coast and people are going when they go out, I don't know about y'all, but I go in the ocean. I don't run to, you ever notice people don't run to the bathroom when they're in the ocean? You think the sea level rises from people disposing of themselves in the sea and on the beaches? Maybe that's what the rise is coming from. Maybe that's the man. You got a better opportunity that to be human caused doing that than what they're talking about. And so here's Stephanie Grace talking about 2065. 2065. 2065. How many of you people listening to this program plan on being here? Now, Brandon, if I'm here,
you're going to be over
17.
I figured it out. You'll be just over 100.
That puts me at 48 more years on Earth, and I'll be 103 years old to watch all this man-made global warming. And then they convince you that if you spend some more money, we'll give the government more money and scientists more money, we'll do what they say, and we won't use the vehicles we use, and we won't ever put a boat in the water. We'll never use a combustion engine again. Hey, we can save the planet. And people buying this. This is Stephanie Grace, who's never written an article yet I thought was worth a flip. And definitely has nothing to back it up. She just throws out the 2065. I'm making a prediction that I will be a worldwide program in the year 2030. Well, y'all got to wait till 2030 to see what happens. Okay? Let's just wait and see what happens in 2030. I mean, I have a right to predict something as ignorant as what she predicted. She's predicting 2065. I mean, come on, give me a break. I'm going to be on the radio still in 2065. I'm making a prediction. Anybody want to argue with me? Anybody want to bet against me? And let's do that. We'll bet now, and you can't collect the money to 2065. This is the kind of psychobabble ignorance that has come out of the left for so long. Now, here was another one in the Washington Post. Scientists say the global ocean circulation may be more vulnerable to shutdown than we thought. Why? They're ramping up against Trump. They're ramping up against the president-elect. They're trying to scare people even more. So now we got to worry about the ocean circulation. It's more vulnerable than we thought it would be. And they're predicting by the year 2042, this thing might shut down. 2042. They got the date. They didn't give us the month, though. I don't understand that. I wonder why they don't give us the month, the day, and what time. Let's throw a year out there. People buy into that. The left buys into that. It's just incredible. But I just believe there's a lot of wee-weeing going on in the ocean, and that may be causing a rise. And my prediction by 2065 is just as good as Stephanie Grace's or anybody else. So quit. Next time you go down there on the coast, quit wee-weeing in the ocean. Some of that acid may be eating up the coast, and that may be causing a problem. We'll take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Jeff Landry, Attorney General, back in the news. New Orleans more dangerous than Chicago. Our Attorney General, he's on it. By the way, he's right, too. Take a break. Be right back. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Boone Griffon Show. If you'd like to be part of the program, 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Kathy Fuqua has responded with, what does it mean? What does that symbol mean?
That's not a good symbol. It means she's upset.
Yeah, she's got
she's
got a frowny face that's red. I've got to explain this. These millennials got to explain this to me.
If you type in PISSED, that's the symbol you get.
Does it really?
Yes.
All right, now I know when I get them a lot lately, by the way.
I hope you don't get them from.
No, I ain't never got one from my bride, but I get them from people like that.
Yeah.
All right, the audit reveals new gender-era financial problems, including misspent money, shoddy bookkeeping, lost state-owned property. This was an article written by Melinda Desolate, and the Advocate published it, and all the Gannett papers published it. And listen, I am never going to defend Bobby Jindal. Can't do it. Nobody was on him more than I was, not even my good friend CB. I mean, I challenged him from day one. But I'm going to tell you, folks, it looks like I'm watching Obama at a smaller level. When everybody blamed Bush, and they blame Bush for the first four, and they blame Bush for the last eight, and they're going to blame Trump, and Obama never was vetted. And now John Bel Edwards, who didn't win the election, people voted against Vitter because of misinformation. John Bel Edwards is a tax and spend liberal. I thought Elliot Stonecipher explained that the other day very well. And they can keep blaming Bobby Jindal for everything. But here's the thing I don't understand. John Bel Edwards was in the legislature for 8 years. John Bel Edwards voted for 5 budgets. Okay? So how is he not responsible? Number 2, John Alario. Probably the worst thing to happen in this state ever. He was running the show during Bobby Jindal. He's running it during Bel Edwards. Now, here's a grown-up in a room. He's the guy with all the answers. He's grown up in a Michael Jordan of the legislature. The magician. Remember that one, Brandon? The magician. If the magician has been there for 44 or 46 years, I think he's in his 46th year or something like that, and he's been a Speaker of the House, and he's been a President of the Senate, how come the news media won't challenge the adult in the room on all the stuff he did with Jindal? I mean, Francis DeFee Thompson's been there for 400 years, too. They don't challenge any of those guys because the press is not honest about anything anymore. They're not honest. Audit unveils new Jindal-era financial problems. We had financial problems before Bobby Jindal came in. We got financial problems after the press and everybody got on Jindal. Y'all were all late to the meeting, by the way. I was in the meeting for 7 years before I even started seeing y'all come around. I called a meeting 8 years ago, Brandon. Over 7.5 years later, the press and everybody showed up to it. The meeting had me and CB and Kennedy and Stonecipher, and we sat in a big old room waiting for all these people to come along, and nobody came along to 7.5 years later. And boy, they're experts now. Oh, it's all about Bobby Jindal. And once again, I'm not going to defend him. That's not what I'm doing here. But I'm asking, how come they're not challenging the movers and the shakers like John Alario? How come people aren't asking John Alario, hey, John, what are we going to do? Instead of doing stuff and cooking crab stew behind the seen in buying all these votes. I don't know if they asked the guy, why didn't you fix any of this, John? Brandon, I don't know if you saw this the other day, we're 48th or 49th in education again. How many times have we had education reform under Edwards, under Buddy Roma, under Dave Treem, under Mike Foster, under Blanco, under Jindal, all this education reform.
And did you hear what the response was?
What?
Well, wait till next year. We'll get some. The numbers will improve next year.
Oh, I've been hearing that for almost 45 years. That's what they do. So let me tell you something. You had record taxes under Bobby Jindal's last year, mega record taxes under Bill Edwards, and it's not fixed. Nothing's fixed. They were using one-time money. You know, I don't have a lot of respect for Jay Dorden. I think he's a leftist. But even Dorden got it right. You know, he's like a stop clock. He'll get it right twice a day. Jay Dorden, when they questioned him, the Commission of Administration, that's the Republican turncoat whose ship came in at $237,500 a year to help his retirement and went with the leftist Bill Edwards. He's a leftist at raising taxes. But he even made Dorden said lawmakers also signed off on the spending decisions. Let me repeat this again for you people in the press, because apparently you can't read your own writing. By the way, Brandon, this story here was on the last page, like the fifth to last paragraph. Most people don't read that much. Jay Dorden said, and I quote, lawmakers also signed off on the spending decisions, talking about Jindal. Brandon, who was one of the lawmakers? John Bell Edwards, who signed off the 5 budgets. It's 4 out of 7. I don't count the last one. He signs off on all these horrendous budgets, and nobody ever says a word till election year. And then everybody got on the anti-Jindal bandwagon, and now what they're doing is like Obama. Let's blame Jindal as long as we can and as hard as we can, even though Bill Edwards has had record tax money. We got the biggest budget we've ever had. We had the record tax increase that we ever had, and it's not even close to what they want to do to us. Even Jay Dorden got it right. That don't happen much. We'll take a break. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Hi, y'all. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline, folks. Dallas Hickson, HicksonHasIt.com. For the real deal, folks. What a great guy and a great family business. And Leesville, Monroe, and, of course, beautiful Alexandria as well. So, by the way, let's go to phone lines. Go to Paul in Lake Charles. Paul, how you doing?
Good morning, Moon. A little under the weather, but I'm making it.
I've been like that during the holidays. I'm trying to come out of my sinus mess, but lo and behold, here comes 75 and 80-degree weather starting again tomorrow.
Yeah, I know it. I was going to ask you, I've been wanting to ask this for a long time, since you brought it up this morning. Who determines what these guys make in the state?
Well, in Darden's case, he was the lieutenant governor and he was the secretary of state, and that was set by us. That's set by us, the legislature, on how much money we upped that up, and Darden was making $115. But Jindal and the governor and them set when they hire people what they want to pay. Now, the legislature might can reject it. I have no idea, but I know this. Darden went from $115 to $237.5. He's going to have his 30 years in. If he stays at that number, that's if he don't get another pay raise. If he stays at that number, his 30 years will be based off the $237.5 if he stays at least 3 years at that job. So that's why I keep saying his ship came in. He owes it to himself now to stay, because he went from his salary being based off the $115 to now the $237.5. Now, I've had people tell me he's going to get almost all out, at least $200. I don't have the percentages and all that stuff, and please don't send it to me. I just know it's his ship came in. So it was easy for him to be a liberal Democrat, because he is a liberal Democrat.
Well, that's actually more than what the governor makes, right?
Well, the governor makes, if I'm saying, $125, huh, Brandon? I think it's $125. Maybe off, but here's the thing. Bell Edwards and them came in saying, and Bobby Jindal did up the salaries tremendously with all these people. But Bobby's guy in the same position, Commissioner of Administrations, okay, he was making he or she was making $204,000. So they get in, and Bell Edwards had bickered and complained about that. He ups Darden's salary, $33,500 from the salary of this person doing the same thing for Bobby Jindal, and you got a liberal Darden. So I'm telling you, Darden's ship came in. He sold the state plumb down the road. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, Cameron Parish, Lake Charles, and I love going over there. They love Jay Darden. Every time there's a vote, if Jay Darden's on the ballot, he wins that area. And I'm trying to figure out why in the heck does he win that area?
He don't win for my vote, but I vote no to every tax, almost every tax. But I don't understand why we can't go in and cut these guys' salaries. There's got to be somebody that can lead a charge, lead a way to.
Well, the Governor Honeycode could have did that because he was bickering about how much money Jindal was paying, and he did quite opposite with a lot of employees. He helped them like that. Not to that level.
Immediately when he got in, if you remember.
Oh, absolutely. And the press didn't say anything about it, didn't write anything about it. Maybe there was one article on it, but they didn't challenge him on that, and then they still worried about Jindal.
Well, you said it a while ago. We're like a little Washington, D.C. down here. There's a clique. It's always been a clique.
We are, and the press is exactly like the D.C. press and the National Press Corps.
I think the corruption is worse than it's ever been, to be honest with you.
Pretty bad. But that goes from the press, just like this. They cover Obama. He gets vetted. He never wins the nomination. The Democrats can't talk bad about Obama because then the black vote doesn't show up and they lose even more. But they've lost despite him anyway. And he's destroyed us in a lot of areas that we're going to have to fight to get back into a better area. But Bill Edwards is doing the same thing. He is convincing people that major taxes is what we need in this state. We've had major taxes, $2.5 billion. And it wasn't enough because we have a spending problem. They won't address it.
Yeah, but these are the people that are getting rich in government.
Oh, they listen, Jay Darden is so happy about the deal he cut. He threw the whole state off the Mississippi River Bridge, and it fell perfect for him. Because there are people in Baton Rouge, I run into them. They love some Jay Darden. The press loves Jim Beam. The press loves Jay Darden. Jim Beam loves Jay Darden. And yet,
and the
they had a
people
problem.
that love it, if you follow it, is the ones with the contracts, which you've heard nothing else about. Yeah, what he's supposed to be heading up this big deal to check into all these contracts. You ain't heard a peep about it.
You're not going to. What they did was they got who was the guy out of Thibodeau? I'm representative out of Thibodeau.
D. Richard?
D. Richard and them tried to do something, and Jay Darden and them put a lot of heat on him, saying, "Look, let me do it. Let me get to it." And so they pulled back. Even though they got a few small victories, they never got the big victory that they wanted. So
the long and the short of it, Moon, is we're going to have to suffer these next 3 years with what we've got. But we're going to have to change something. We're not going to be able to. We're broke now.
By the way, $300 million deficit, or maybe more than that, after record taxes for 2 years. Record taxes. They passed $700 million under Bobby Jindal, another $1.8 billion under Bill Edwards, biggest tax increase ever, and they want more. They want a road tax. They want an income tax. They want a corporate tax. They want to tax everything that moves or don't move. So I'm just letting you know.
If we didn't have this boom right now in Lake Charles, this state right now would probably be a ghost town.
Well, it's going to become one if you raise the taxes that these people want to raise. They're being totally foolish. Anyway, I got to go. Thanks, Paul. By the way,
right.
John Schroeder, Representative John Schroeder. Now, Brandon, you know what Kennedy did. Kennedy ran a tough campaign. Kennedy has been a voice, whether it was Jindal or this honor code fellow. His one-term Edwards, that's what I'm calling him because I think he's a one-termer. And he ran on tough policies that it's suspending. Well, here comes Schroeder. Schroeder's been a rep. By the way, he was part of that group with Guyman and them fighting all these tax increases under Bobby Jindal. And they got beat up, folks. He's announced that he's going to be a candidate for the treasurer's office. Now, listen to this. Before you read a Stephanie Grace article, listen to Bill Edwards and Jay Darden. Although Jay Darden admitted it was a spending problem with the legislature, who Bill Edwards was part of, John Hilario running the show was a big part of. Quote, John Schroeder, Louisiana has a spending problem, not a revenue problem. Wow. I'd have never thought that. We are structurally broken. Irresponsible spending practices are not a new problem for our state, and this isn't the first time. Well, then how in the heck can you blame Bobby Jindal? By the way, not Schroeder, but the press. It's been going on since I've been following this. No priorities. We got a spending problem since day one. We keep adding more government, add more universities, add more community college, add. And then they go, hey, we ain't got enough money. Be like you add a second house and a boat note and a second car note, a third car note. And, Brandon, you can't keep doing that if you don't have the revenue. So here's a guy right here. We saw John Kennedy win big on running against the establishment of raising taxes for prosperity. These Republican legislators better understand that. Well, here comes one. Said we have a spending problem. We do. He said, in my first term as a state legislator 8 years ago, I quickly recognized we had a fundamental issue with our budget and spending practices. I've always taken a stand with Louisiana taxpayers. The budget process isn't rocket science. By the way, who else used to say that, Brandon? You cannot spend more revenue than you can take in. You cannot use non-recurring revenue to pay for recurring expenses. Well, somebody says that was Jindal. I agree. I'm defending Jindal. We've done it under Edwards in the special session, in the regular session. We spent one-time money to fix the budget. I pointed this out to you folks. Said every Louisiana understands this concept. You can't spend more money than you make. Nope, you're wrong. Schroeder, you're wrong. Every Louisiana taxpayer doesn't understand it because lawmakers don't understand it, and they're the ones setting the rules. And besides, our economy's not that strong. In certain areas it is, but overall it's not. Anyway, John Schroeder now the first guy to announce officially he's running for state treasurer. Has Manus announced he's running? Huh?
I don't think officially.
No, I don't think officially. I know some people have told me it was running. So I'm just curious to see. All right, I got to take a break. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Schroeder's right. Kennedy was right. I've been right. CB was right. Y'all keep listening to them lawmakers. Republican lawmakers, we're watching your voting records. We're watching them, and we're going to share it with everybody. We'll take a break. Be right back. People, y'all are welcome back.
Moon Griffon show.
People are always fussing about it. Hey, it's John Schroeder must be Moon's guy. Must be his guy.
Nobody.
He's saying something nice about
who's saying that?
No, I'm just saying in general. I'm just laughing at some people. I got some on my email, and I'm going, I don't have a dog in the hunt. The election's next fall. The Treasury's race will bring some interest, no doubt about it, but not now. Not in January. My prayer is we can get the next 2 weeks, for 2 weeks from today, no mo O. Obama, no more O. God, I pray that time comes. I never like to wish my life away. I like to wish him gone, at least off the political scene, at least in the powerful positions. No more O. It's a shame. Anyway, we'll get to that in a minute, Brandon. You got a good a deal on summing up Obama's legacy that we're going to play a little later in the program, maybe coming out the top of the hour. But going back to the state stuff, Schroeder made a comment. The guys running on what Kennedy based everything on. And I got to tell you, Schroeder and anybody else, I like the idea of not having somebody coming from the legislature. And this is my reasoning. It's because I don't want somebody tied with the representatives and senator and maybe the governor, and then they're scared to say the truth. Look what they did for Kennedy. Kennedy's a United States senator now because he did that. And he was telling the truth, and he got beat up a lot. He got beat up a lot, especially by the press and representatives and senators. Okay? And yet he's a United States senator, and he was right. But we didn't listen to him. We're going to listen to all these task force and these committees and these committees on raising taxes on road taxes. Now, Brandon, you did send me something. I didn't read it yet. Gas tax not popular. One suggested to fix state roads doesn't appear to be in the fast lane becoming reality. St. Francis Republican Kenny Harvard tells the advocate a gas tax hike is probably not politically feasible. Well, it's nothing to do with politics to me, folks. Nothing at all. It's got to do with reality. They're not going to tell us what they did with the money on gas tax. Okay? That means we don't know if the money's going to get to roads. David Vitter and John Kennedy have said many, many times there's only 11 cents to the gallon getting to actually fix the roads. If that is true, and I'm going to take it as true from them two guys, then why would you give them billions of dollars more money knowing good and well the roads are not going to be fixed. That's what I don't understand about the average person. They're going to come out with all these statistics we had. My favorite one, well, they raised gas taxes since 1980 or whatever. I don't remember the figure. What year it was, 1995 and 97, whatever. It raised gas taxes since then. It's not stretching out like it's supposed to. Brandon, if you sit down and ask them, next time they do a road tax right here, okay, just remember this, you're a news guy. Go out and say, okay, when y'all figuring these taxes over 10 years, are y'all figuring in inflation? Are y'all figuring in the cost of material? Are y'all figuring in the cost of labor? Because you can take a trend over the last 10 years, what the next 10 years are going to look like, and that's all you can base it on. Well, these guys never spent the money in the first place on the roads. Okay? So even if they didn't base it on that, which they did, you're not going to fix the roads if you don't put money on roads. We all want better roads. I think we pay a lot of taxes. You know, one of the things they're trying to do under the honor code, one-term governor, is to try to get as many taxes raised as possible with the hope oil and gas will resurrect itself and come back and go up and get all that money. And then the press is going to tell a story. This is why they're writing Jindal stories. They don't want you to forget Bobby Jindal, although for 7+ years they never told us about Bobby Jindal. Anything you want to know about Jindal, you probably had to get off my program. Because you weren't going to find out about Bobby Jindal. But, boy, you get to the last 6 months and you got an election and he's the worst thing in the world now. So they're going to continue that. That's what they did with Barack Obama and George Bush. If you recall, Barack's still blaming Bush. They got elected officials still blaming Bush. Well, they want you to keep blaming Jindal. Then all of a sudden, they raise these taxes, and then they get oil and gas to shoot back up, and they get all that money and say, look at all the money we got because we handled it right, and we're not having budget problems anymore. If you raise these taxes, the budget problems, in my prediction, and I'm going to predict it now, somewhere up the road, it's going to get really bad because you're going to lose companies. You're going to lose people that can find better jobs in different states. And they're going to go. They're going to follow the jobs. They're going to follow where they get better bang for their buck. That's what you can't tell a Bell Edwards and a Jay Darden. You can't tell a John Alario that. You can't tell a Francis DeFee Thompson. He's bringing too much money to build a lake and a golf tournament, a golf course and a reservoir and a hotel that you and me pay for and calling it a state park, which was brilliant, by the way, but it cost us money. That place will never make a penny. It won't make a tenth of the principal back. And it doesn't float itself. He's got to go get money, and he brings it through the Appropriations Committee through all these different entities. You never know what that thing's worth. But I know this is losing his fanny off. And he knows it. The fee knows this. That's why he votes for every fee and tax they come across. So, anyway, just got to be honest with you. This Kenny Harvard guy. By the way, Brandon, Harvard. Yes. Kenny Harvard. He wasn't on the tax committee or the tax task force or this task force to raise taxes or look at I think he was. I think he was one of the lead guys on this task force to raise taxes for roads. I may be wrong, but I think I saw his name before.
Well, he's also the one that made this comment.
Over the years, the money hadn't been spent where we said it was going to be spent. You know, the state troopers have gotten $50 million a year out of the trust fund, and it should have been going to concrete and asphalt.
Okay, we're going to play that again. This is Kenny Harvard being honest and basically saying what I've been preaching for 20 years about roads. Okay?
Over the years, the money hadn't been spent where we said it was going to be spent. You know, the state troopers have gotten $50 million a year out of the trust fund, and it should have been going to concrete and asphalt.
What have I just said? What have I been saying? I got guts to say the truth. Why should we give them another penny? Folks, I need help on this because the gurus that are going to make money are going to take these Republican lawmakers. I know of a couple right here where I live in the Lafayette area, and they're going to be pushing this down our throats because their buddies that helped them stay in office want it. That's the fact, Jack. I'm going to stay on top of it, folks, best I can, but that's what's taking place, and Harvard said the right thing. Representative Harvard, I don't know him, but he was right on the money. You're going to give people money when they didn't spend the money properly in the first place? Who does that? We shouldn't do it. We got a tough economy. We got people that were flooded. They ain't got money yet. I saw the Road Home program or whatever they're going to call the program. They ain't even got money yet to people. You know what I'm saying? Just trying to be honest, folks, and tell you what's coming. Told you about Jindal. Now Jindal's going to be the culprit, and the press they didn't go against Jindal till 7.5 years into his term. his second term, which would be his second term at 8 years if you count the first one. Boy, they know everything about Bobby now, don't they? Even though there's John Hilario still sitting there running the show. There's Bill Edwards was in the legislature voting for those budgets. Don't ever hold him against it. And even the great Jay Darden, some people think he's really good, made the comment, hey, the legislature signed off on spending decisions. Yes, they did. Thank you, Jay. Finally something out of your mouth that was truthful. Let's go to Chris in Shreveport. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing good, Moon. How are you this morning, Monday morning?
I'm hanging in there, brother. Best day of the work week. You know I'm having fun.
Right. Now, I had a question because I remember reading something that Elliot had written a few months back about how much more money we had now than we did back when Katrina happened based on inflation. I think it was somewhere around like 23% or something like that. And they all started losing their head, running around like their heads were on fire whenever the gas industry crashed down and, we lost a lot of revenue. Well, my question is, and no one seems to have mentioned it, what happens if in the next 3 years the oil and gas come back and then we have all this extra money? I mean, how much more money are they going to have then?
That's what I was saying earlier. You raise all these taxes. First of all, to raise taxes are not going to bring in what they said. We see that. They're saying $400 million in a hole with a budget problem. They raised $2.5 billion, so it shows you it slows the progress down. But you're right.
Correct.
If it does create most of the money, then all this money starts coming back in from oil and gas revenue, then bingo, they're going to have plenty of money. Then the story's going to be Bill Edwards saved this state from financial ruins, and we need to reward him for re-election. I just hope people take a look at this. I hope they understand what I'm saying.
I do. Y'all have a good day.
All right, Chris. Thank you. Good point. God bless. All right, quick break. More to come. Moon Griffon Show. We got this. Who was that lady that on Obama gave up about a 3-minute deal?
Oh, Kennedy.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Miss Kennedy talks about his legacy. We'll play that as well. You're listening to the Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. If you'd like to be part of the Moon Griffon Show, it's your opportunity to be a voice on a beautiful Monday. I'll tell you what, Brandon, I like cold weather, but some ridiculous cold, 18 degree and all that. I
wouldn't mind it staying like this, though. 49 right now. Ooh. Man, it's beautiful.
No. I don't mind the cold weather. Just the other day it was so cold and the wind was blowing so hard, man. It was just bad. All righty. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Talked about the road tax. Anything I've talked about, of course, you're welcome. Listen, for you people that think I am defending Jindal, I'm not. I mean, Bobby Jindal will never be able to defend himself, and the late C.B. Fugazi used to say, we will write the legacy. And we have. We should write Obama's legacy. The press has never told him the real legacy, so people are going to still believe that man was a good president when he wasn't. He was absolutely horrible. And same thing with Bill Edwards. They're trying to make it like Bill Edwards is really trying to fix the state. Let me ask the folks a question. What if Bill Edwards could pass every tax and he knew it, and he just started passing them? And all the Republicans, and they pass a road tax of, 23 cents, Brandon, or 26? The original. They had a tax.
The original proposal?
The original proposal at the task force
was 16.
No, it's 23 or 26%.
Wow, okay.
I mean, what if they passed it? And let's say they did that plus toll roads.
Man, that's crazy.
And let's say they did tax reform, and you couldn't deduct anything anymore except your home mortgage and your charitable giving. No, you can't file on the federal government and get it back. None of that anymore. Let's just go along with everything they said. Everything Bill Edwards wants to do. Okay? And what do you think would be the outcome of the mega taxes? Remember, they want to tax more services like lawn care, tree cutting services.
They're suggesting looking at permit fees for commercial vehicles.
But the permit fees. Brandon, there's so many what if we just pass them all and say, hey, they know better. They smarter than God. We'll just let them pass every tax they want to pass. State, federal, your local tax guy comes along, wants to jack another penny up. Hey, no problem. Because that's what's going to happen. Once the penny goes down on the 5 cents and they stick an income tax and they pass on tax, then your local government comes back and adds the penny back. What do you think it does for your family, your community? I'm just kind of curious. All these big tax liberals like John Bel Edwards, our one-term governor, all this stuff from the one-term governor, what do you think? I'm just asking, what do you think? You think we would live in prosperity and then all prices come roaring back? Do you really believe these companies are all of a sudden going to stay here and people are going to want to stay here As in, do you really believe that? Because that's what the left tells you. Obama runs up $10 trillion worth of debt to cover Medicare, to cover the economy, to pay for 15 million more people not working. 95 million people not in the workforce anymore. It was like 60, 68, 70, 80, whatever it was at the time. And they passed them all at the federal government. I mean, what do you think Louisiana would look like? What do you think you ought to pay in taxes? 60% of your income? 70% of your income? I'm just kind of curious. If all these nuts get their way, what would happen to you and me and the money you make? You better make $400,000 a year just to survive, huh? I mean, 60%. Take your income. Let's say you make $50,000 or $100,000, and the government took 60% of 50. Okay, so the government takes 30, and you live on 20. At $100,000, the government takes 60, and you live on 45. That's it. That's your take-home pay. But the government got everything. Man, we got free health care, and they put money on roads, and the government got it happening. Who gets eliminated here? Whose lifestyle slows down? Not the government. Oh, they're going to get everything they want. That's what they're telling us. Give it to us. Tax yourself to prosperity. It's not happening in any country, any community, any state, in this whole dang world. That's never happened. But that's what they're telling you. Obama didn't run up $10 trillion worth of debt. What would happen? You couldn't pay the union pensions. Couldn't have kept the government growing and working. It's just go ahead. Go along with what they say. What do you think you ought to pay in tax? 60%, 50, 80? And then that makes you have a job, go do your job, go home. Do your job, go home. Do your job, go home. That's it. That's your life. That's your whole life. That's all you ever do. Go to work and go home. Go to work, go home. Pretty soon you'll be working 7 days, 12 hours a day, just so you can make ends meet so you can eat. If there was no EBT cards in this economy that Obama gave us and our states in, and people had to line up to get food stamps and food deals, what would the lines you think look like? What do you think they look like in the inner cities where Obama and them have really helped us, and John Bel Edwards has really helped us? Because that's what they keep telling us. If we'll give them all this money and let them do it for us, we're going to be better off. Were the Germans better off when they did it? Is Iran and Iraq better off? Cuba? Venezuela? Russia? Who's better off for doing this? Nobody. So what makes you think that if we don't hold them responsible for what they did with the gas tax money that they had to fix roads, what do you think they're going to do? 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Let's go to Mike. Somewhere in I-10. Mike, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. I just wanted to tell you the gas tax really gets me riled up. And I did some research, and the roads and bridges and everything in Texas are a lot better off than ours, and their gas tax is lower than Louisiana. So, and really, that's a question. Why is their economy better than Louisiana? They got an all-based economy. Same thing, and their gasoline tax is less. Maybe they don't suck up the money like our crooked politicians do. Well, and not only do I blame this on Edwards, I blame this on the Republicans in the legislature who walk lockstep with the tax and spend liberals.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have a lot more of that from the Republicans. Let me just tell you. You're going to have a lot more of that from the Republicans. They're going to bring them taxes. They're going to try to pass some of these taxes. My question to you is, tell me, if we spend an 11 cent for every dollar we take in on actually fixing roads, why would you give them more money? Somebody explain that to me, because I'm not that bright. If you can give me Common Core math on this one, because that may be what it takes to figure it out.
Well, I can explain something to you. The roads and bridges in ancient Rome are still standing, and the roads and bridges in Louisiana are falling apart. Maybe we have some piss poor contractors doing the work.
Yeah. Well, Well, I mean, let me tell you something. A lot of the contracts that are given, I know they got to bid on some of that stuff and all that stuff, but trust me, there's a lot of brother-in-law deals going on. Always have, always will be. All we want is tax dollars going to the roads. And if they're not going to go to the roads, why in the world would you give them another penny?
That's correct. And they gave it to the state police. Everybody knows that, and they're not doing nothing about it except saying we made a mistake. Well, the people are tired of the mistakes. That's why Trump is the president.
Yep.
Because everybody's tired of that bull stuff.
Yep. No argument here. I think people are tired of it. But it's happening in Baton Rouge, too. We'll see if the people wake up in 3 years when it comes to election, because we're going to have a lot of bad tax votes on them. Got to run. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate the call. Let's go. Move on. West Monroe. Miss Deborah, how you doing, Deborah?
Happy New Year's, Moon.
Thank you. Happy New Year, too.
Is what we call tax collecting here in Louisiana is nothing more than money laundering, and it's for the people that are washing the dirty laundry. I want to speak about the fact that the roots of draining the swamp here in Louisiana, reaching finally to D.C., and when you think about it, you got Colonel Edmondson, who has now told everyone that 700 body cams was going to be on all of our state troopers now. And that's a good thing. But I also remember in Avoyelles Parish, the 12th Judicial District, Marksville, Louisiana, 2 black city marshals opened fire on a white man and his 7-year-old son, killing the son. And the trial was supposed to start like in November. Well, we're in January. I haven't heard another thing. Is this another case being...
I don't know. I don't know. I've had people call and talk about that. I didn't realize the trial hadn't gone on.
No.
Somebody else to have to let me know what's going on, because I hadn't really followed. I mean, I remember the story. I remember people calling. I remember reading about it. But I don't remember anything coming from it yet.
Well, let me tell you what happened. You get a bunch of trial lawyers, and they get the poor grieving father on the side, and they settle with him where they are not held accountable, because with an undisclosed settlement, you get no wrongdoing, right? And it disappears. Well, Colonel Edmondson on Fox News said it was the most egregious video he had ever seen. And now he's talking about putting these body cams on our state troopers.
Yeah.
What good is it going to do us if justice doesn't prevail?
Yeah. I'm not sure that's the best thing in the world. I have not asked, and you have to ask some people in the either state troopers or former state troopers and people that are in police situations, is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't necessarily lean. I don't lean to necessarily being a good thing, but that ask law enforcement. Maybe somebody's out there listening that can help us. Former law enforcement, body cams, is that a good thing or a bad thing? All right, gotta go. Thanks for the call. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. HicksonHasIt.com. Don't forget my good friend Dallas. They'll take care of you in a vehicle. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has it hotline. One other thing, the honor code, our one-term governor, mid-year budget cuts $300 to $450,000. You got to remember the end of the year is June 30th, so it'll have to come now. House Speaker Taylor Barra said he preferred a governor and a House Senate joint budget committee to slash spending in the $27 billion state operating budget on their own without calling a session. I think Taylor Barra needs to hold to that. Y'all need to call him and say, hold on, no special session. By the way, Brandon, this is the year they can raise taxes during the regular session. Okay?
They do it every other year.
Yeah, but that's why they had a special session. We've raised taxes 2 years in a row. Generals last year, and even though they didn't call it a tax increase, it was. And we found out later it was, because they got rid of the stupid thing that was associated with it. Then Edwards had a record tax year, and now he's wanting more taxes. So folks, that's why I was asking the question, what's a good number? 60% of your money? 80% of your money?
Ain't that just like government, though, to make up a rule and then find a way to circumvent the rule?
You got to circumvent the rule with a special session because you can't do it in a regular session every other. What is this? This is an odd year.
Yes.
So odd years you can raise taxes, even years you can't. Okay, unless you call what? A special session.
I mean, why even have that rule if it's just going to get circumvented?
They'll get circumvented when they need cash. Man. And since you have a spending problem and you won't address it, you're not going to fix it. Go ahead, raise all these taxes. I'll go ahead and pay my taxes, but it's not going to fix the problem. It's like education reform. When was that last fixed? Well, to be honest with you, it was never fixed. Because I don't think they can fix that. I don't think people know what education reform is. I really don't. All right. Here we go, Brandon. That's the lady's name.
Her name is Kennedy, yes.
Okay, and she did about a 3-minute deal on Obama's legacy.
Yes, she's a Fox business personality.
And we thought this was not only, it's got some funny stuff in it too, but it's pretty good stuff. So here we go.
Oh, tomorrow President Obama officially gives his 2 weeks notice. And what a glorious 8 years it's been. Just ask him. A presidency that started with blame.
The biggest problems that we're facing right now have to do with George Bush trying to bring more and more power into the executive branch.
Now ends with blame.
There's going to be potential anger, frustration, fear. I think somebody like Mr. Trump's taken advantage of that.
Bookended with blame for Bush and Trump, his presidency hinged on whining. He blamed guns, Republicans with guns, Israel, Russia, even Hillary.
I won Iowa not because the demographics dictated that I would win Iowa. It was because I spent 87 days going to every small town and fair and fish fry and VFW hall.
Oh, such a good campaigner. That's such a shot at Hillary. So other than boo-hooing over a tepid glass of sour grape juice, how will this president be remembered? Well, for his signature piece of legislation, of course, that was supposed to save health care, make the sick healthy, boost the economy, and put people back to work.
Under the reforms we seek, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. I will not rest until anyone who's looking for work can find a job.
Yeah, right.
Excuse me. He must be pretty sleepy from not resting. All right. Well, Chief Justice John Roberts would have spared us so much national indigestion if only he'd sprouted a pair of judge nuts under that robe and sided against Obamacare and the critical National Federation of Independent Business versus Sebelius decision. But now we're stuck with spiking premiums and deductibles, and insurers are running for the exits faster than missionaries at a Lena Dunham bikini fitting. It wasn't just legacy cementing domestic stagnation. He also hackishly turned the Middle East into a cesspool of death, rewarding enemies, stunning indecision, red lines drawn in crayon, and indiscriminate droning. He was no prince with civil liberties as the surveillance state bloated up under his watch like a 2-week-old body in a muddy river. He also leaves his party in a shambles as record numbers of Democrats lost seats in national and state elections, including his first runner-up successor, whom he stabbed in the back, reaching to pat his own. He's a true paradox, a likable guy with a 53.6% approval rating, yet 56.4% of the country thinks we're on the wrong track because of his policies. He's the kind of president who gets elected in 2008 because he seemed like he'd be fun to have a beer with, but then totally repudiated in 2016 when voters can't afford to buy beer anymore. Debt has doubled, taxes and spending are up. Donald Trump is going to be president and will inherit more authority than any first-termer thanks to Obama's concentration of presidential power. And he leaves the keys to the kingdom to a man he despises who is sure to obliterate anything that's left of his tattered legacy. Go have a beer, Mr. President. At least you can afford it, and you definitely need it.
Woo!
Not much you can say after that, huh?
That was Burnt City, but a lot of truth. A lot of truth right there. We'll take a break. Hickson has a hotline if you'd like to be part of the program. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Don't forget Tehran received a huge shipment of uranium. Thank you, President Obama. We'll take a break. Be right back. There's that song about me again.
Please don't make me take it out of the rotation.
No. Listen to me.
Oh, no, come on,
All right, folks, glad to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. The Kennedy lady really hit it on the head. The reason Obama's numbers are high, you don't never hear anything about him from the mainstream press. They can't. Okay? They built him up. You know, he's been a letdown in every department. They built him up. They're not going to bring him down. Okay? Him being black has a big part to do with that. Blacks that vote Democrat, which is about 94%, whatever the percentage is, go make him mad, and then they won't show up for the next person. And so same thing when he ran for office. The timing was unbelievable. The Democrats, the party does not have any direction. The direction is, what group can we get to help us now? That's what we do. We cater to groups instead of doing what you need to do to the country, instead of doing what's right. The left has gotten, the Democrats have gotten so far to the left. You got people like Al Sharpton promising season of civil disobedience in response to Sessions' nomination. Jeff Sessions, who, by the way, is one of the most well-liked people in Congress, in the Senate, and everybody says that about him. National Action Network President Mr. Al Sharpton promised a season of civil disobedience in reaction to the nomination. They decided they're going to try to beat some people. They got to use race. That's what the Urban League comes in. Mark Morial, Urban League cites Obama failures for Black American. An excellent report card, and 42% is how horrible it is. I just like to go to the inner cities and let's just see how good everything is going. Sharpton, an MSNBC host, and activist, planned march in Washington on January 14th during Martin Luther King Jr. holiday weekend. Sharpton recalled spending 90 days in jail for protesting the U.S. Navy land against military exercises, and when George Bush was the president, adding that civil disobedience usually works because it changes policy. So let me ask y'all a question. If that's true, and you can go back and see some policies that needed to be changed, but now, if that's true, what did Michael Brown change? I know Michael Brown was a lie. Michael Brown was a total lie. We got people who have gotten killed. We've got cops that have gotten killed. What has changed? Somebody tell me what's changed. What did Michael Brown, the lie, change? Nothing. We had civil disobedience. We had people hurt and killed and stores burned. What did he change? Nothing. So people got hurt and people got killed. It didn't change. There's no new policy now. There's no new policy that's going to change. Policy is not going to change the heart anyway. Al Sharpton doesn't realize. Al Sharpton realize like that. He's just a fake. He makes a lot of money being a fake. You know, season of civil. Why didn't we have civil disobedience while Barack Obama was president? See white people out there going nuts on it. Urban League cites Obama's phase for Black Americans. An excellent report card, though. Excellent. National Urban League issued an excellent report card for Barack Obama's 8 years, but highlighted numerous and important failures so many that it totaled 42% of the review.
Okay, and what's your name?
There's no sense of reality. Here's what Mark Morial said, by the way. Second highest overall grade of excellent. The question is the nation better off than it was 8 years ago? And is Black America better off than it was 8 years ago? The answer to both questions, unequivocally, yes, Mark Morial said. Then why don't we go look at the film what goes on in the inner cities? Why don't we go film it? Let's go check it out. Let's go look and see what the great Barack Obama and the left has done. They wouldn't dare do that. They wouldn't dare show this. Is the nation better off? Let's say we $10 trillion higher in debt. I ain't gonna go with all that. Y'all know all the stats. Okay? Just the whole thing is lies. I know my health care bill. By the way, just let me give you this a little update. I told y'all my deductible, Brandon, went up to $3,100. So Tanya goes and gets Maddie's. Remember now, we own seizure medication, Maddie. So I don't know how many of you people could pay for this. I mean, I was in shock. all because of Obamacare. So I had to raise my deduction because of Obamacare, and you liberals listening, you don't care about me, but I'm supposed to be so careful about you and make sure you get your subsidies and how Obamacare is helping so many people, and it's destroying people. So my bride calls me and says, hey, I'm getting ready to use American Express card. Good thing she didn't leave home without it. The bill for the drugs, $2,800 because we hadn't reached our deductible. $2,800. $2,800. Maddie's medicine. By the way, that will make us a whopping 60 days. We got to pay that again because we hadn't reached the deductible yet. But the ignorance out there, people that believe Obama's really good. I can't afford that, folks. I can't even get close to affording that. I just had to finance drugs. I'm going to have to pay it off, and when the bill comes due, I'm going to pay it off. But I got to finance my drugs on my daughter with pre-existing conditions. How's Obamacare helping me? He's not. He's trying to destroy me. I was doing fine before this man came along to destroy health care. That thing that you heard a while ago, save everybody $2,500, keep your doctor. All a bunch of bunk and lies, but the press never writes about it. See, they don't want me to say that. They want to talk about the people that's on Medicare for the first time and the people that got subsidies for their insurance policy. There's many stories out there, like I told you. I've heard them. In the report card, Obama was credited with succeeding in stabilizing the economy. $10 trillion of new debt. How did that? Folks, that doesn't stabilize the economy. That ruins an economy. Adding jobs. When did this man add any real jobs? Gee whiz, just say stuff. And health care coverage by Obamacare. He also applauded the for overcoming a sinister GOP opposition. Shoot, if we wouldn't have had that, we'd really be in trouble. He inherited the worst economy since the Great Depression. That is a phrase. That is a phrase. That's all that is. And, of course, he's faced with a congressional opposition unprecedented in intensity and sinister nature. Just small murder, just nuts, just everything race. Nuts. All right, Brandon, one call. We'll take a break. Rodney in Shreveport. How you doing, Rodney?
I'm doing fine. I've got a brother that's in the same boat you are with the insurance. His insurance is $1,900 a month.
Well, mine's only $2,654, so I kind of envy him.
Yeah. I imagine so.
Think about that. I'm envying somebody's insurance that's under $2,000 a month. Wow.
And then again, in the inner cities, I have some rental properties in some of the inner cities, or the inner city of Shreveport, and everywhere you look, there's for rent signs because the people can't pay their rent because they don't have jobs. So he didn't do a very good job.
He didn't do a good job at anything. It's just that it's never going to be reported. The truth, just like Urban League, they're giving Obama credit for what? For what? Well, he's black president, so we're just going to stick with him. But that's all they're doing. It's a joke. The whole thing's a joke. And I'm just telling y'all what happened to me. I don't really like to talk about me. My wife was in total shock when she saw the insurance. And you sit here and go, my God, what do they want to do to me next? I don't want Obamacare. I want to just pay like I've always paid, moved on. Anyway, we got to run. Thanks for the call. Appreciate it. We'll take a break. Be right back. Hi, hello. Welcome back. Moon Griffon Show. Great to have you with us. 844-766-6607. Hickson has a hotline. Yeah, the Urban League, the NAACP, the National Action Network, all going against Sessions, drumming up racism. Stuff 30 years ago because he said something that he shouldn't have said. You know, that's amazing to watch. Hey, real quick before we go again, Acadian, total security. Brandon, I got in my house and we really wanted a security system. And I tell you what, I think I got the best. Acadian Total Security really did a wonderful job of coming in and taking care of my whole home. I'm protected by the big green now. Home security, home automation. It's so nice to be able to, Brandon, you can do stuff in your phone. You can set it. You could be gone. So you didn't lock your doors. I mean, they got so much stuff on Acadian Home Total Security. You have to check this out. Video surveillance. By the way, Brandon, we got cameras if you walk on the property. I can watch you on TV. If I know you're coming, I can watch you on TV. Maddie thinks that's cool. You can watch 4 cameras all around the house. So when you look at Total Security, Acadian Total Security is the name you need to know. Let me give you a number. Trust me, I use them. And we've been just tickled to death, except when I forget to turn the alarm off. We've been tickled to death. Actually, it's not been that hard, Brandon, because it's sitting right there when we walk in. Here's the number, 855-222-3426. 855-222-3426. You're going to be glad you are with Acadian Total Security. And if you're with somebody else and you don't like your service, trust me, call these people. I've been tickled to death. My wife can do anything she wants on her phone, and now she can even deal with that. So it's a neat system and they'll come in and customize for your house, no matter how big or small. Maybe it's your camp, your house. Okay. By the way, they're limited the Lafayette, Acadiana area, and of course down in Houma, Thibodeau areas where they really service you. If you're in another area, they may can help you with someone else. All right, $700 million more a year. That's what better roads will cost Louisiana. $700 million. That's all they want. $700 million. Transportation Task Force has released their final study. $700 million. Better path to better roads, bridges, and improved infrastructure. Was suggested at Sean Wilson, DOTD Secretary. Says we suggested a gas tax increase and of some amount has to be a part of whatever the solution. We suggested looking at permit fees for commercial vehicles. Another way is toll roads and bridges. I don't know what y'all think about that. Transportation challenges state did not come overnight, nor will a solution. But we have the right to ship and begin implementing sustainable best practices and policies that have worked all around the country. He made a comment on Louisiana Radio Network, $13 billion backlog. So if you want to pay more taxes, they're waiting on you. They're waiting on you to say, let's roll, because they want the money, they want the tax money. And by the way, they don't mind taking it from you folks. Whether it's going to go to the right thing or not, I have no idea. No idea. Neither do they. That's what bothers me about the whole thing. Let's go to Paul Charrington. How you doing, Paul?
Good. I had an email from Conservative Review last week, and they said the old GOP party wants to just change the name. They're going to get rid of Obamacare by name only, and they are trying to figure out a way to have Obamacare 2.0. You know, everything was fine before we ever had Obamacare. Why can't they focus on repealing it altogether and just completely do away with it?
Let me go back. It's not that everything was fine, but for the working guy that went out there and worked, it was pretty good. We have a charity system in our state, and other states do too. It may not be the best, but for people who don't want to buy insurance or can't afford it, we had a system. And I said this, when Obamacare gets finished, people are going to wish they had the old system no matter if they had a plan or not. But they are bashing and slamming people like me and loving every minute of it. And that's what's a shame. Look, there were some things to tweak, but what the Democrats, remember this was all Democrats that voted for this. Mary Landrieu, who's no longer there, voted for this. What they could have tweaked and changed, they didn't. They said it's all or nothing. And Nancy Pelosi, Nut Nancy, said the best. Well, you want to see what's in it, you got to vote for it. The Democrats voted for it, not the public, not the American people. And they voted for it, and then what they do is they just voted for a shell, and they're adding stuff every day to it, And those tentacles get in all these people's, all these communities, and then they can't let it go because they have to live on the federal government sending money. Think about it. If somebody's on subsidies with Obamacare, I'm paying for their insurance. Look how much they're jacking with me. I'm paying for their insurance, and why should they have subsidies? I'm not getting them. They shouldn't have subsidies. So it's crazy. I'd rather go back to what we had, but I said all along that's what's going to happen. People wish they just had I wish I had what I had, because it was a lot better than what I got now.
I understand, and I had to go through the healthcare market because, for the simple reason, I'm not a great mathematician, but I would have been fined $900 this year when I went to file my income tax. So I spent $200 on a little cheap insurance through the healthcare system, the market thing, and come out $700 in the better. It was a no-brainer to me, but next year, and I won't turn 65 till next year.
Yes, sir.
So, I was stuck. I do one of the two. Get fined $900 or pay $200 for the whole year.
Yeah.
So, I come out $700 in the better. But we need to we need a clean house in that U.S. Senate and U.S. House of Representatives. We need to get rid of all
let me tell you, Paul,
because they're the one killing us.
Paul, let me tell you something, though. I want to tell you.
It's the senators and representatives that are killing us.
Well, let me just say this. I read the same things you read. Not so quick on Obamacare. We got some problems getting rid of it in the first day, in the first week, in the first month, in the first year. Here it is. Concerns over dumping Obamacare. Thanks for the call, Paul. Concerns for dumping Obamacare growing among GOP lawmakers. Why complicate repeal strategy? You know why, Brandon? The way they set it up, the way they wrote stuff in. Don't think Obama and say, look, if you write this in there, there's no way they can get rid of this. It's no way you can get rid of this. It's no way they can get rid of this. And so they set it up. It's a failure, but they set it up with these tentacles. They set it up with the taxes. Okay? Trump says he want a repeal and replace at the same time. Not a whole lot you can replace it unless you're going to have some market forces involved in it. Okay? And some of the Republicans are looking at some of these taxes. They keep saying Obamacare covers 20 million people. Okay? I guarantee you a majority of them are not paying premiums. You take out what got Medicare, I'm talking about actually premiums, and you'll be shocked at the people probably that paid the first premium that hadn't paid it since. Okay, so we're going to get a little frustrated about this at first. I think we are. Bob Corker, Tennessee, told reporters Friday Republicans might find themselves in a box canyon if they erase the law without substitute in hand. Remember, Clay Young was with us on Friday. He made the same comment. Okay? Ron Johnson, Wisconsin. I would start bringing up those elements that start repairing the damage, and I would start taking notes on those right now. Democrats are going to fight for something they can't afford to pay for, because that's what they do. They should have never put it on us. I take Minority Leader Schumer at his word that if we do this, we're not going to get any Democratic support. And in order to actually pass a replacement, we need Democrat support. Well, I wouldn't worry about that. They didn't pass it with Republican support. Tom Cotton, Arkansas, says, I don't think we can just repeal Obamacare and say we're going to get the answer 2 years from now. We haven't coalesced around a solution for 6 years, in part because it's so complicated. They made it complicated. This didn't have to be complicated. Obama and the Democrats made it complicated. He's made a lot of things complicated, including the $10 trillion worth of debt he ran up. He blamed Bush for $4.5 trillion. He runs up $10 trillion. It's going to be an interesting year, folks, no doubt about it. But I'm telling you, don't jump up and down just yet. It's not going to be a 100-day fix. Never has, never was going to be. But the fix can definitely get in, but they need to get rid of a lot of it. Give people like me an opportunity to shop around all over the country. And I may buy the best health care plan for me. I don't need their help. Most people don't. That ain't what this is about. This is about controlling people like you and me. We're going to take a quick 22-hour break. Terrific Tuesday tomorrow. God bless. Have an awesome day.